Hello there. Happy Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about the volume of a cone, and I promise you we're pretty much almost finished with formulas, which will be kind of cool. But today the formula looks a little bit scary, and the reason it looks scary is because it has a fraction. However, when you punch it into the calculator, which you are allowed to use at this point, you can easily simplify your fraction. So the formula today is volume equals 1/3 times pi times the radius squared times the height. So the two pieces of information you need from your cone is radius of 2 and a height of 5. So as with all the other days, I write the formula first. I write V equals 1/3 times pi times the radius squared times the height. So I write the formula first. That way I can go back in and fill in the information. So the first thing I'm going to write is V equals 1/3. Now we know from every lesson 3.14 is pi. And the radius for this one is 2. And remember we have to square it because of the formula. And the height is 5. So when we do that, we go on through. V equals 1/3 times 3.14. 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4, all multiplied by 5. Now, when you punch it into the calculator, I'm going to show you, I'm going to pan over to the calculator. If I have a TI-30XA, I could hit 1 ABC key 3. That would give me my 1/3. And then I could continue to go times 3.14 times 4 times 5 equals. And if you look, this number's huge. Well, it's not really huge, it just has a lot of digits. 20.933333333, and it would go on for a long time. So when I'm rounding it, I'm just going to write it back over here. It would be 20.9, and I'm just going to put a few of the 3's. I'm not going to continue them all the way out or whatever else happens after that, because we need to round this to the nearest hundredth. So remember, we're rounding to the first 3 because that's tenths, hundredths. I look at the one next door, and since it is less than 5, I leave this 3 alone. So the number would be 20.93. Now remember, in real life, or when you're doing certain testing and certain things like that, they'll always ask you for the measurement. So let's say this was cubic feet, cubic centimeters, whatever, you would write your measurement here with a little 3, because remember, volume has the little 3. But for the sake of our assignment, they don't ask you for the measurements. So the next one be done the same. V equals 1/3 pi times the radius squared times the height. So V equals 1/3 times 3.14. Our radius is 3, so 3 squared, and our height is 4. So I make the next line, V equals 1/3 times 3.14. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9, and times 4. Now I multiply all the way across. V equals 1/3 times 3.14 times 9 times 4. Again, I'm just going to put the calculator right over here in front of it. So when I hit 1 ABC 3, that is 1/3. Now, if you don't have a TI-30X calculator, you would do 1 divided by 3 equals. That'll give you your starting point if you don't have a calculator with a fraction bar. You'd hit 1 divided by 3, and then you would multiply on through. So whichever way you choose to do it, either you have a calculator that has fraction or you don't, either way you'll get the same answer. So when I multiply 1/3 times 3.14 times 9 times 4, it comes out to 37.68. So the volume of this cone would be 37.68. No need to round to the nearest hundredth because we already have it in the nearest hundredth. Okay, the last one is the one we have to be really careful about because we're showing that it has a diameter of 32. Now remember, with a diameter, you want to make sure you come on your paper somewhere and do 32 and divide it by 2, because that will give us our radius of 16. So we have to remember, when they give us the strip all the way across, we have to divide it by 2 because the formula asks for the radius. So I'm going to write it again. V equals 1/3 times pi times the radius squared times the height. So V equals 1/3 times 3.14. Now I come over here and I look at my radius, 16. So that's going to be 16 squared times the height, which is 36. That's going to be a pretty big number. So we work out V equals 1/3 times 3.14. Now, when you square 16, it's 16 times 16, which would give us 256. And then our height is 36. Now, again, this one's going to be a much bigger number because our radius and our diameters and all those numbers are much bigger. So that's why it's going to be a much bigger number. So don't be afraid when you get a much bigger number. So after you multiply all that out, 1/3 times 3.14 times 256 times 36, it's 9646.08. And that is how you find the volume of a cone. Tomorrow we'll be looking at the volume of a sphere. I know you all can't wait. And then I believe we'll be pretty much done with the formulas. I will talk to you all soon, and good luck completing your assignment.